And we're joined now by aviation expert John Cox, along with Jeff Guzzetti, a former investigator with the NTSB and FAA. John Cox, I'll start with you as the pilot here among us. What do you make of all the strands that we've seen now together? The notion that there was this communication. I took a note that the American Airlines CEO made a point to say that this jet, that they didn't know why this chopper had come into the path of the regional jet. Clearly, I mean, essentially laying blame at the feet of the helicopter for crashing into the jet.
Savannah, it's much too early to really affix blame at this point. I will say this: I've landed on that runway 33, countless times, and I've seen helicopters that pass below us and behind us numerous times. So this process was very routine. It's been used safely for years. Now, what happened in this particular case, the track of the helicopter and how these two aircraft came together, that's going to be the focus of the NTSB. And understanding that the communications with the helicopter that said they are to pass behind the CRJ, was it acknowledged? What did the crew actually see? All of those questions are fundamental in the investigation that NTSB is going to look at. So we got a lot more questions and answers right now.
Stand by for a second here. Jeff, I want to bring you back into the conversation because we chatted a while ago, but I know you were listening to that news conference that wrapped a short time ago from the officials there in D.C. We didn't get a lot of information other than, it's gone from a rescue mission to a recovery mission now, no survivors. What stood out to you from that news conference?
Nothing really, Craig. I mean, except that all the agencies are doing what they're supposed to be doing. The airline is doing what it's supposed to be doing, taking care of the families, which is important right now. Secretary Duffy showing the country that he's the Transportation Department and the FAA are working with the NTSB. It's the NTSB's press conference that's really going to start to delve into the details of this investigation, as it should be. So it's that press conference where we start hearing from the sole voice of the investigation, the NTSB, and that's where we're going to start getting some facts related to this. Until that time, just like Senator Kaine indicated, the time is to investigate, not speculate.
Yeah. We have some of the air traffic control traffic, the communications that took place between the chopper and the tower. We talked before that you believe that the air traffic controller would have been talking to both that plane and to the chopper. What do you make of that communication? Can you learn anything from that?
Well, just, giving it a rough listen on what's available publicly, and you can be sure the NTSB is going to get much better quality audio recordings of that. It appears that this helicopter, this Army helicopter, was told to, if he had sight of the regional jet, and it appears that the helicopter said, Roger, visual separation. But again, as Captain Cox mentioned, we don't really know what the helicopter pilot was looking at when he mentioned that. And we don't know exactly what altitude the helicopter was at and what altitude the airplane was at when they collided. But you can be sure that the air traffic control communications are going to be scrutinized by the NTSB. That controller is going to be interviewed, and the radar data is going to be looked at by NTSB. And there's going to be a lot of human factors involved, I expect, in this investigation.
Just real quickly, though, I mean, would the same controller, the same person, be talking to both pilots, or is it like one guy's assigned to the military aircraft, one guy's assigned to the regional jet, and it's one person?
Typically, it's one person that's called the local controller that's working all the airplanes that are coming in close, and Captain Cox can probably tell you a lot more about that.
John, to that point, I mean, you've flown for more than 20 years. You've flown in and out of Reagan multiple times. Help our viewers, help our listeners understand on the final approach, what does that look like? What kind of maneuvers are you making? What does that air traffic control sound like, especially if there is a helicopter in the area?
It is a dynamic environment. It's a busy airport. It's geographically constrained, so it's a small, the geography of the airport is small, but there's a lot of traffic. To land on runway 33, you are following up the right-hand side of the Potomac River, and then you make a low altitude turn to align with the runway. At that point, it is routine to hear the tower controller, the local controller, talking with numerous other aircraft. Now, one thing to recognize is that the pilots in the American jet cannot hear what the military controllers say. They can both hear what the air traffic controller says, but the military aircraft uses UHF radios, while the civilian airplane, the airliner, uses VHF. So there's not pilot-to-pilot communication possible, but both can hear the air traffic controller, and that's normal. But whether the jet saw the helicopter or not, or I don't even believe that we know yet if there was an advisory given to the jet that the helicopter was there. Yeah. That's one of the things NTSB will look at. We know that the helicopter was advised that the CRJ was there and to pass behind it. Those are the real fundamental questions in the early hours and days that NTSB is going to look at.
Yeah, I mean, just looking with a layperson's eye, and that doesn't account for much, but it looks like it hit from behind, and that was the direction from ATC to the chopper pass behind. So who knows what that regional jet was aware of, if anything. And especially, John, real quickly, I mean, it's dark, and at that moment of approach, those final seconds before landing, I mean, the attention is on the runway and the controls and make your instruments, not looking around for other aircraft.
That's true. The biggest thing for the pilots landing on runway 33 is to make sure that they're on the proper speed and the proper glide path. And that is done by a series of lights that are just off to the left-hand side of the runway. That tells them that their vertical guidance is correct. So they're concentrating on that. They've done all of the checklists, the landing gear's down, the flaps are configured. They're ready to land. And now it's just aligning the aircraft and keeping it on the glide path. Yeah. So those are the key things for the pilots at that moment.
Much to discuss as we go forward here. John, Jeff, thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.